What up, fam? I am Dr. De Luna, and you are listening to Drop It Like It's Doc podcast. Today, I have on Nalu, a phenomenal licensed acupuncturist, owner of Nalu Healing Arts. Today, we talk all about acupuncture. We talk about the 5 elements. We talk about trauma, healing, and all the ways that acupuncture can fit into your journey. If you are new to acupuncture, if you've ever thought about it, or if you just want to explore healing on a different level, this episode is for you. Plus, we're both Leo, so it's extra fun. Thanks for being here. Hello, gorgeous Nalu.
Hi.
I am so happy that I am sitting across from you in your precious overalls on our sexy Leo thrones. And I'm just so excited to have you on as a guest. Thank you for being here.
So excited to be here. When you asked me to be here, I was like beaming out of my skin. Like, oh my God, she loves me.
Oh, I adore you. And for my viewers and listeners that may or may not know this, Nalu is a licensed acupuncturist. That's how we met. So many people would tell me to go see you. They just said, have you been to Nalu yet? Have you been to Nalu? Have you heard of Nalu? And I was like, no, I don't know. But usually when the universe whispers those things to you, it's for a reason. And right when I met you, I loved you. So really, I'm going to start out by just love bombing you. So my queen.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yes. Receive.
I receive. Thank
it's
you.
happening.
Thank you.
So you are just such a light. Your smile is incredible. I feel like I have known you for lifetimes, even though we really haven't spent that much time together. And from the moment that I met you and from the moment that I walked into your beautiful healing center, Nalu Healing Arts, you just made me feel like I was a part of the family. You held me in such a beautiful way. You've been a huge part of my healing and grounding my nervous system and supporting my adrenals and also just allowing me to feel heard and safe because you are far more than an acupuncturist. You are a healer and you cover, I think in the first time that I even described you, I'm like, I don't even know what she does. I don't know what she does. But between the sound healing and the card pulling and just your words and your reflections and your intuition, you are a profound healer. And I am so grateful to every little whisper that pushed me in your direction. And I am, again, just so honored that you said yes to be here and am honored that you are a part of my community. And thanks for taking care of me.
Thank you so much for all of that. That felt really powerful and really good to hear. Thank you.
You're welcome. I could keep going, but I'll just pause for now. It'll continue onwards throughout this session. And it's exciting for me because I get to learn about you as my listeners get to learn about you, because all that I know is your medicine and your personality and your energy, but I don't know anything about your story. So let's start there. Tell me about how you ended up being this incredible business owner.
That is a loaded question.
Yeah.
But first, I just want to bring it back to you.
Okay.
And when you first came, when you first walked in, I was like, how do I know this woman? And I was just like, oh, she seems so great. Very similar energy. And my front desk girl was like, oh my God, you're here. It's like she fangirled over you. And I was like, what did I miss? Who's this person? Who's on my table? What's going on? And as soon as I start working on you, I was like, oh, I feel you. I know you. I held you. And I worked on you 3 times, and I watched you through a car accident on Instagram, and you had my heart in that moment too, because I was in a rollover car accident, which is part of why I became an acupuncturist as well. And so my healing process has kind of brought me to where I am. But when I saw that, it struck me in a way that I was like, oh, give, oh my gosh, she's alive. Are you okay? I needed to reach out to you, make sure you were good, and you were, and you are, and you're here, and I'm scared, but I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. And every little hello, every little text, every little message, every little just reminder that I was loved by a community when I felt so alone was so important to me. So thank you for being one of those people.
Yeah.
And we can get all into that because I would love to talk about the impacts on the nervous system and all of it. But you said that the car accident helped you end up here.
Right.
Tell me more.
Yeah. So first time I ever got acupuncture, basically I became a massage therapist at the age of 21. That was kind of around the time, I was a little hippie, runaway, very free-spirited. At the age of 19, I became a banker. And I was like trying to be a human. I was like, what do adults do? I guess I should do this. And so I became a banker. And within a year, I was like promoted to underwriting. And within a year, I was ready to shoot myself. And I like, by the age of 21, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a flight attendant or a massage therapist. Found out flight attendants make nothing to start. So I was like, okay, I'll just go do massage, whatever. Didn't think anything of it. Fell absolutely in love and obsessed with with massage and like the human body, anatomy, physiology, how it like our muscles hold memory and how like emotions can be released in massage. And like the amount that I learned in just 1 year of school, I was like, I can heal myself. I can heal my relationship with my father. And this is me at 21, like 20 years ago, thinking like, I'm gonna heal the world. Like just so many big hopes and dreams. And by the age of 23, I became a single mother. My baby was 6 months old. I was upside down, crazy anxiety. First time I ever received acupuncture, my friend was like, go do this. And I was like, sounds stupid, but whatever. And like, I try anything. I was living on like coffee and cigarettes at the time. I was just like upside down. So I get acupuncture for the first time at a community acupuncture place, and $10. And I lay there with a few needles in, and I felt this big like weight that was on me and shadow just kind of fly up above me, hovered for a bit, disappeared. And this is all like in a dream state, because you go into that, I call it the acutrance. You go into this trance and like really sweet space. And then I open my eyes. It's like 2 hours later. I was like, what just happened? I was driving home and everything was so much more colorful, and I felt good and happy for the first time in a long, long time. And I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna cry. I'm probably gonna cry.
Please, you're welcome to cry.
Hey, thanks.
Anytime.
But it just like, that changed my life. That very first moment changed my life. I felt amazing. And I signed up for once a week for 8 weeks, and like completely healed all of the anxiety that I had, all of the like mental blocks, everything. It just gave me that reset weekly that I needed to like keep moving on with life, one foot in front of the other. I'm gonna be an amazing mama. I'm gonna be, whatever. And then about a year later is when I signed up to get my prerequisites for acupuncture school. That's when I was like, going to school, I have something to live for, I have something to do, like I have a vision, I have a purpose. And it just like, I knew it. The day that I wanted to do it, I was like, boom, I'm doing it. And now, I mean, that was almost 20 years ago. And like, I started acupuncture school 2011. I finished 2015. And now I have a business. It's 2023. Had a business for a few years, but another big, huge event happened when I was in a pretty bad car accident and in the hospital, and felt like my body was wrecked and I was broken in my spirit. All the things just felt really, really horrible. And like the amount of pain that I was in, nothing was touching it. And so I got acupuncture for the pain. And that was the only thing that helped my headaches. It was the only thing that like got me out of bed every day. Was literally like, it was amazing. It was magic. But that, and chiropractic, and getting massage, and getting like, they were 3 different people that I would see weekly to get healing for about 6 months. But just became more in love with acupuncture during that too. And like everything that I go through in life, no matter what, like I know, like when it's hard, I know that this is serving me, because I have to go through this, because I need to go through the shit. And then when I get out of it, then it shows up on my table. So somebody will come in like years later, someone was in an accident, like they're on my table. I understand her. I understand your PTSD. I understand your physical pain, whatever that is that they came away from it from, like, I get it. I understand it. If I've had other things happen in life, like pretty big mental stuff, like it shows up on my table regularly. Yeah. And because I've gone through it and have healed through it, I know like what they're feeling. And I'm like, yeah, it's like alchemy.
It is.
Yeah.
It's so hot in this room, and you just gave me chills. You literally just gave me chills. And I love how much acupuncture was a part of your story, but also just being someone in a different arm of medicine. That does happen. I think that we all go through things, and we think that, well, really depends your mindset, right? You can go into it with a victim mentality, think, why me, why me? But then as a healer, or, whatever word you want to use for what we do, it's always a purpose. And those moments where the universe shows you why are the sweetest little gifts. And I love that you have that. And, you know, it's really ironic because I didn't even know that you got in a car accident. I had no idea when I started working with you that I was going to almost die in a car accident. And now look at this.
Look at us.
Look at us growing together.
Girl, you scared me. You scared me.
Yeah, we were all a little scared, but, you know, just fully dissociated for a while. So that's fine. And I love that you said the Acutrance because I was, you know, I'm a fuck around and find out kind of girl. So I am open to all the things. And for me, I don't have physical pain. I'm very grateful. I've never really had physical pain, but I've got all sorts of other stuff that I work on, like mental, emotional stuff and hormone stuff and gut stuff. And it actually, I think the first time that I went in for acupuncture was in Ocean Beach. There was a community acupuncture place. I was just walking down the street and the universe works in whispers and pulls. And I was just walking by. It was after I wasn't divorced yet. I was going through something really traumatic with my partner at the time. I was so mad. As a Leo, I'm really good at being mad. I was fucking furious and I couldn't really. It was like a different way of dissociating because it wasn't from pain or trauma. It was trauma, but it was different. And I was so mad. I was late on my period, all these things. I go in, I lay down on the table, I cried. And within maybe 10 minutes of having the needles in me, I started gushing blood from my body. Yeah, awesome. It just moved the energy. I mean, the acupuncturist didn't care. He's like, this is why you are here. Yeah. But it's incredible how it can drop you into levels that maybe you have hidden and shifts energy so quickly. Wow.
It's funny how you say like you had menstrual stuff while you were angry.
Yeah, tell me.
And depending on how long you were angry too, how pent up it is.
I'm still angry. Yeah.
You should get acupuncture.
I do.
That's cute.
I'm
basically, anger is... There's different organ systems in the body. Acupuncture, Chinese medicine is all in the organ system. And so anger is like in the liver. The liver holds anger. And so the liver is what moves blood throughout the body. So when we feel angry and like pent up and very like irritable, frustrated, all of that, like if you course the liver, if you calm it down, smooth it, then the blood will flow smoothly. But if you have this like the emotion itself can cause the period to like skip complete month or like week later or whatever, or have crazy cramps, like all the things, you know, breast tenderness, these are all liver qi stagnation is what we call it. So course the liver, soften it, smooth it. You can drink some dandelion tea. Dandelion's amazing for like calming the liver, but not necessarily anger, just like courses liver. So like moving. Like, that's why exercise makes you feel better when you're angry, right? Like if you
chop
feel
some
that
wood.
way.
Yeah, is that a thing?
And that's funny you say that because wood is the element of liver with anger. Like there's fire, earth, metal, water, and wood.
Someone has said this to me before. You should chop wood. That's why.
Yeah. I was like, why'd you say that? Wow.
Give me a hatchet. Something sharp. Get it.
Break some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, get weird with it.
It is so interesting that, you know, the different parts of our body hold different aspects of ourselves. And I, of course, have a very different lens of medicine. And I understand, you know, the liver is where we biotransform things and it's how we detox and it's how we clear and it's how we metabolize hormones. But then hearing it from your lens as well, you know, that's all in the blood. And if your blood is stuck and that energy isn't moving because you're not releasing the emotion, how can you expect that change to happen in your body? And of course, I know nothing about what you know, which is also why I'm so happy that you are here. And I would love to go through some of the organs and what their typical emotions are.
Yeah, totally. So fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. Wood being the liver and gallbladder and like anger, right? So fire would be the heart and small intestine. So heart is fiery, like it's joy. It can be like when it's out of balance, you could be like overjoy, like manic. If someone's manic depressive or bipolar, when you're manic, that can be like a heart pathology. Or like insomnia, heart palpitations. There are a few things that will show up like in you that if you have like an imbalance, but it can be also the opposite of joy, like melancholy or sadness, a deep depression, if you have like a deficiency in the heart. So there's a heart fire, which is like way too much, you know, or like laughing during funeral, like weird, inappropriate places to laugh.
Might be me.
Like
Oh God.
Well, I'm also a fire element.
Yeah.
And so I get like super fire. We're like really steaming up this room right now. We're like so hot. But it's also just hot. But we are also pretty fiery together. And so like that energy is meant to be like brighten up a room. You walk in, everybody's kind of like drawn to it. Like it's a beautiful energy. But when it's out of balance, it can be like the anger that comes from heart fire can be like almost murder, you know? Like
Yeah, I do. I do know that. Nalu.
And so everybody, like in the 5 elements of fire, earth, metal, water, and wood, you can get diagnosed as like your constitution is going to be more like fire. You know, I walk in the room and I'm very fiery. I'm also very earth, which is earth constitution is like the stomach and spleen. So when that's out of balance, you can get like bloating. You can get like stomach fire. It can be like ulcers. It can be like out of balance in a way, or like the spleen is that like the gut stuff that you know so much about. And I want to like rack your brain. I think it's a wonderful and amazing. In Chinese medicine, I think that's the hardest one to treat is stomach stuff and like gut issues, because there's so much to like so many different pathologies that can show up. And so stomach and spleen. So spleen is worry, overthinking, pensiveness. That's like the freshman 15.
Yes.
When you're thinking so much and you're studying so much and you're using your brain a lot and you gain weight. That's the spleen being like deficient and injured and not like digesting very well. So because you're using your mind energy so much, the intellect, that it throws stuff out of balance. So like getting out of your head is really, really good for like losing weight. When people get obsessive about trying to lose weight, it can like, you gotta like clear the mind before you can clear the body type of stuff.
This is so interesting for so many reasons, and we're going to continue on and go through all the systems and whatnot. But when I was in medical school, I was maybe year 2, and you went through a program. It's ridiculous. And you were a mom during it, which is just mind blowing to me that you are here. Thank you for your service. You're welcome. But I'm a very type A perfectionist. I wanted to be a good doctor. Wanted to learn everything well, and I would think non-stop. And I am grateful that my yoga practice really saved my life during medical school. But in meditation, oftentimes, and I don't know if you do this, but I'll be meditating and sometimes my hands just like walk on my body and I'm like, where are you going?
Yes.
Where are you going? And it would go under my ribs on the left side and go in there, and it felt sour. And I would always say that it felt like someone poured battery acid underneath the left side of my rib cage. And my brother was dating a chick in acupuncture school at the time. She goes, it's your spleen. And I would bring it up all the time. I think something's going on with my spleen. And from, conventional medicine world, you think about blood. It stores blood and recycles red blood cells, but also it's where mono can live. Mono loves the spleen. So I remember thinking, do I have mono? Like, what's going on? And then she did a little work on me. She gave me a little blend it was sweet. It was sweet herbal blend, and it shifted, and I haven't felt that since.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And this is your second year of school. So that time where you're just like burnt out, the spleen is like so done.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it's called Gui Pitong.
Probably
The
took
elixir
it.
she gave you, it's like kind of cinnamony and sweet and yummy.
Yes, it was delicious. It was in these little powdered packages.
Okay, and you pour it into hot water and drink it like a tea.
Yummy.
Oh, I love this.
Me too.
I love that you have some experience with acupuncture and you just had no clue what it was doing.
Exactly.
I love the hands moving. I don't really do that during meditation, but it happens when I'm in the acutrance.
Yeah.
When I'm laying there, if I'm face up, my hand will be like, and I'm like, because if you ever move when you've got needles in you, it's just like this very dull, achy, itchy sensation where it's like, I don't want to move. But if you move, it's just like sensation and it's helping it out actually. But you don't really want to move.
No, I try not to move.
Yeah.
Okay. What's next?
So I did fire and earth. Metal is the color of white. I'm like drawing a blank. The lung. Oh, the beautiful lung. I work so much. So the heart is encased in the lung, right? And so I think the two of them are so like when you feel sorrow in your heart, when you're like, if you're depressed with like the heart symptoms, that can, so the lung is grief. Just to backtrack a little bit, lung holds grief. And a cute little saying that I found from one of my mentors back when I was a student talked about how like when the heart breaks, it breaks, like when you're grieving, it breaks wide open and just fills the entire rib cage. And that's why the lungs hold grief. And you'll know this, you'll see it in like old couples that have been together for 50, 80, whatever million years. And then one of them passes away. The next one like grieves so strongly and they get pneumonia and pass away. And so it's just like how much grief can affect the lungs. You'll see it like shortness of breath or like hard to catch your breath. Like when you're heartbroken, it's just like that's grief and is held in the lung. And that's metal element, which is like a type A personality. So like structure and then making sure like everything has to be planned out perfectly. I have no metal in my chart. It's so hard for me.
And we say chart, is it like a birth chart? Like what is this chart?
So there is a birth chart. So basically Chinese medicine, there's like the 12-year cycle. Like I'm the year of the dog, 1982. And do you know your years?
I'm 91. I don't know what animal it is.
Oh, you don't know okay.
No.
Well, I'm gonna have to get on the internet for that one.
We'll Google it.
Yeah, but
It's probably like a goat.
when I was,
I feel like it's
funny,
a goat.
I hope it is.
I hope it is.
I hope you called this one.
Me too.
I had a professor who it's all in Chinese character, the website, so I cannot go to it and read anything on it. But he put like my whole birthday and like where I was born and like the time and all of that. And there's like this much yin, this much yang, this much fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. And so there is like a birth chart ish.
Yeah.
But I've never been able to find it in American language or in whatever language other than Chinese character. It's like impossible for me to read. But in other, like the 5 element, like we look at like the color of your skin, like mine gets like a red kind of like redness sometimes on my face, or like you can see some blue, which will be for like more wood. People will have a little bit of blue, green. Red would be fire. There's also like the sounds that you, like the way that your breath is. There's so many ways to like diagnose somebody as in like, oh, you're a wood, you're a fire, you're earth. But like the shape of their body, it's, it's fun. It's like a personality test, but not really.
It's kind of like Ayurveda, but different.
Yeah. Very similar. Ayurveda and Chinese medicine are super similar. And Chinese medicine is very similar to, like it's been around for thousands of years, but you can see it in all of nature. And you see it in all, like naturopathic, you see it in Ayurvedic, you see it in Western medicine, you see it everywhere. And it's just like the yin and yang of like a little bit of light in the dark, a little bit of dark in the light, and that's in everything. It's like this right now. Fire, earth, metal, water is kidney.
Makes sense.
Kidney holds fear, fright, PTSD, stuff that I was like worried about your kidneys after your car accident, right? And so if you think about it, the kidneys down here, the adrenals sit right on top of the kidney. And so when you have a moment, like somebody jumps out at you and you're just, you get that like, you like feel that like rush of whatever. Sometimes it feels like spikies inside of me when I get that. If I slam on my brakes while I'm driving, I think because I have PTSD from like 13 years ago and being in my accident, whenever I have to slam on my brakes, all of my skin feels like needles everywhere. I don't know why it does that. It's
I have a similar thing now.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's fun. I know we are sisters.
Yeah, we are.
But that's why the kidneys hold PTSD and hold fright and fear, because the adrenals right there being the fight or flight and pumping that like big like save you, make sure you like you stay alive and get you going through the hard times, that fight or flight, then it just like, it'll go throughout the whole body, but that's the like mecca. That's like where it was formed. And so kidney is fear, water, which is all the waterways throughout the body.
Yes.
Wood is liver, coming back to the liver.
Coming back to the liver.
That one's also very structured and rigid. So when, other than like menstrual stuff, you'll notice it it's easy to diagnose in women, like how their blood is by asking them questions about their period.
Yeah.
But when, like for male and female, you can know more about like how much body pain do you have, how are your tendons and ligaments, because if the blood is flowing smoothly because the liver is softened, then you can like basically see it in like rigid like joints and all the like tendons, ligaments. You tend to like tear easily or get sore really easily, and that could also be like a kidney thing. You're not getting enough hydration, but we think about the liver not like moving the blood like it should.
Interesting. My mind, when you talk about your lens, just makes me think of so many things in my world. And And something that I see a lot of in my practice is weak tendons and ligaments secondary to toxic exposure, specifically glyphosate, because it can get into your joints. And that's interesting because the liver is obviously what is detoxing all of that stuff out. And it's a very different mechanism. Of course, that can happen, in that element without having a toxic exposure like that. But that's automatically where my head went. So that's just interesting. And I love when these dots connect. And I love how acupuncture does not separate the physical from the emotional to the mental. It's all intertwined. And that's why it's so powerful, because for some people, they don't feel safe enough to get to that level of emotion. But when you have those needles in you and when you enter whatever portal that is, it rises up to the surface. And something that's happened with me a lot on your table and on other tables is that I'll get really anxious sometimes. So let's talk about that a little bit, because needles are scary for some people. I love needles. I'm tattooed. I love piercings. I've pierced my ears. I've pierced other people's bodies. Like, needles and blood don't bother me, but for some reason, every time, and I trust you deeply, it never hurts. But for some reason, every time I know it's time, my nervous system goes, okay, get ready. You're about to get stuck with needles. And then I just feel a little crazy.
It's
a little crazy.
Before the needles go in, or once they start going in, the body's having a reaction?
Both. Like, I know it's coming. So my body, like, I'm relaxed laying on the table. But then once, you get your little package out, I'm like, here we go. The face doesn't bother me. It's mainly the legs and the feet.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. It gets me.
Okay.
It gets me good.
So everybody has like weirdness about different parts of the body, and that's totally normal. I don't know. I kind of want to dive in, why your legs?
Please dive in.
Why? You were earlier when we were going IG live, you were just like, hello, tuck to my legs.
Yeah, legs.
So I was like, she loves her legs. So why? Maybe you're more protective of your legs. I don't know.
I don't know.
Legs represent like moving forward and like working through things. And so, that's very common, super common. Many people have fear of needle, but to like keep coming back for more, like, I commend you. Wonderful. Thank you so much for still doing the work. The coolest part about what I do is that the people who come to me really want to do the work.
Yeah.
Like, nobody shows on my table because they're like, maybe I'll just try it. Like, they know that it's going to be a whole journey. But there is that like fight or flight that shows up while you're laying on the table. And the thing is, muscle holds memory. When things start to move, emotions can get unlocked and they're like, oh, I can be free. I was just sitting here and I was stuck and I wasn't moving. And I was like, trying to get her attention, but you see me and you get me. And so it's like, yay. And so the emotion, I want to talk more about the gut with you because that's like so exciting for me. But like the emotion will start down, like say this midline right here. This is a pathway for an emotion to come up and to get out of the body, teach its lesson and leave. So it will start deep in the gut. And when it starts to come up, it gets activated. It's like, okay, all right. But then when we feel it in the heart center and we start to really feel that uncomfortable emotion, our nervous system, bless its heart, wants to protect us, and it'll put a lid on it right here. And so it'll start to come up and it'll be like, yeah. And we can either like stop it and it'll like stay right here or settle back down into the body, or it can like come up, voice itself, go through the brain, teach us our lesson, and then continue to flow. So when you're laying there and you start to get anxious, if you tend towards anxiety, like in an everyday or every other day or once a week or whatever, whenever you get anxiety, if you tend towards anxiety, that emotion to come up on the table is so needed.
Yeah.
And just accept it and be like, okay, I'm gonna sit with this anxiety. As much as I hate it and I try to do things to get rid of it all the time, naturally allow yourself to sit with it because it's the only way it's gonna pass. If you say yes to it, it'll be like, oh, thank you. And then it can leave. If you say no to it, it's like a kid that's gonna go pout in the corner and is like, fine, I'll just sit here and make your life miserable, you little jerk. Like,
I'll show you.
And then you just feel anxiety all the time. So if you really want to like not live with anxiety, you have to like sit with it. And this Chinese medicine is like root cause. Like, I'm getting to the root of stuff. So I may be working on stuff that may not have anything to do with your anxiety, but because the anxiety is being triggered and coming up, that's, it's gonna have a pathway to come through. But I know you and I do work on your anxiety when you come in.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, and just for the listeners that don't know, yes, the emotions come up, but they are released and you leave feeling incredible. You feel like you just went to the spa. You feel high. You're glowing. The world, like you said, it looks brighter. It's a very different feeling from before to after, even if in those moments of discomfort, you don't want to be there. And you're like, why did I pay someone to put needles in me? I don't understand. You take a couple open mouth exhales, let yourself cry or laugh or scream, whatever it is. And then you float out of your body in the best possible way, land back into it, reborn.
A lot of times it'll just be an emotional release in the moment. Like I'll see it if you're not voicing it, your body will start to sweat a little bit.
Yeah.
You'll get clammy hands and feet. You'll get like, I'm watching your nervous system like happen. And I'm like, oh shit, I have a couple more needles I gotta put in, get it real quick so I can finish up the protocol. And then I let you rest. And when you're resting, you're gonna be like, the emotions will come, but if I play those bowls, and we'll get into all that later, but like if I, or you just sitting there by yourself, if I leave the room, whatever it is that we do after that, like you're resting for a certain amount of time with these needles in. They're doing their work. They're doing so much while you just lay there.
Yeah.
And so that's the beauty of it. Like it gets to move through you. It gets to pass. You get to feel wonderful afterwards. You kind of feel high. Like,
You do?
Some people ask me like, what do you put in your needles? I'm like,
all sorts of
nothing.
stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I dip it in weird shit.
Yeah, you never know. So I'm just assuming that people that are going to be listening to this may have never tried acupuncture before. They don't even know fully what it involves. So yes, you're putting needles into very specific points on the body. How do you choose these points?
So I do a full intake. I like to hear what your chief complaint is. Like, what are you coming in today? It's anxiety or my neck hurts. Cool. Okay. Let's get a couple more questions in. I'm going to ask you about your cycle. I'm going to ask you about your poop. I'm going to ask you about your digestion. I'm going to ask you about your mental health. And I will know when someone's lying to me.
Of course you will.
But I also I don't bring it up. I just let them share what they want to share. And I'm like, how are your stress levels? That's the easiest question. Like if it's a first time patient, how are your stress levels? And sometimes people are like, they start to twitch. Fine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure.
But then, I kind of already have an idea with body language and seeing their interaction. A good amount of people are going to be like, everything out on the table. Wonderful. The more information I know from you, wonderful. Otherwise, I could just feel your pulse and look at your tongue and still go from there and do a wonderful treatment for you specifically. But I draw a blank. What was your question?
Just how you choose the points.
Right. How would I choose my points? So I would ask your chief complaint. That's the main thing we would work on because I want you to leave feeling that complaint resolved or on a path of being resolved. And then I also see what is your underlying symptoms? What is the root of this? I ask all these questions to kind of figure out, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. You could come in 1 week and come in 3 weeks later and have the same representation and it could be a completely different, very similar maybe, but it could be a completely different treatment because I'm looking at where you are in this moment in front of me, how your symptoms are presenting themselves and where is the root. So we're always working on the root, but any symptoms that we can get out of the way from the root is going to help. You're helping trim the tree a little bit and fixing the dead ones so that the root can get stronger.
Yeah. I love that visualization. And I'm sure for you, similar to the work that I do, there's layers, right? So you could think that something's the root and it might be in that moment, but then once that layer dissolves, you see something underneath and you keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Yeah.
And if you go to a doctor or an acupuncturist or a chiropractor or a naturopath or any practitioner and they do the same thing to you every time, and if nothing's shifting, they're not actually treating you in that moment. So I love that every time is different. Even if you are working on similar patterns or presentations, you are always giving the body what it needs. And also you listen to the feedback because you've put needles in me before and I've been like, that one felt weird. You're like, okay, do we shift it? It's not, there's a lot of freedom to meet the body where it is.
100%. I want you to be uncomfortable.
I want you to be uncomfortable. That's the goal of
My
treatment.
subconscious was like, I want you to be comfortable. That's what I tell people. No, I'm just kidding.
Fucking love
let's
you.
make it weird.
Yeah, always. That's why you are here. So we can make it weird.
I love you.
I love you.
Yeah, there's okay, here's the brain.
Yeah.
Here's the brain stem, right? Down the spine. All of the nerves separate from the brainstem and go throughout your entire body. So everything that your brain does, every single thing, hormones, cycle, your digestion, your stress levels, everything is just stored up in here, and it tells. All these little things tell, like say I put a needle here on my foot, is going back up to the spine, going back up to the brain, telling my brain to do something. It's going back down to the area. And as it's doing that, that blood flow and that system, that nerve that's giving this message is clearing out a space, like going like, shh, Mayday, mayday, there's an intruder. Like
Mayday.
There's a fucking needle in my foot. Like, get it out. And so the body... Can I cuss? Is this
Of
okay?
course you
Okay.
can fucking cuss.
Fuck
Yes. Fuck yes.
So it sends like a message down to the foot and clears out a channel. If there's a block somewhere, it's gonna clear it out. And it may take some time. There may be like a solid block in there, depending how many years this has been going on. Or is it a new and acute something? It can be easy to fix, it might be hard. But like the way I figure out the points is like, what channel on the body is it? What organ system is affected? How, like, is it presenting in their body? And what is the history? And like, there's so much to it. It's a jigsaw puzzle. And the body is a map. And it's all literally connected to like the nervous system. So nervous system, everything. It's like, you're going to feel nervy stuff when you get needles stuck inside of you. You're not going to feel like pain necessarily. You'll feel like a dull, achy, kind of like, you know, my shoulder hurts. I'm going to get in here and massage and be like, oh yeah, that hurts good. Like that's the spot. It's going to feel like that. You want it to feel like, yes, that's the spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that feeling. I'm like, stick a needle in there.
I know. That's my answer to everything. Oh, I should stick a needle in it.
Just put a needle in it. See what happens. I don't know. I think in a previous life, if I would have gotten acupuncture, I would have had a full-blown panic attack, to be completely honest. I think I would have. Because like you said earlier, when you're speaking to moving, when you're in that, you know, portal and seeing where they're going, you have to be still because there's needles in you. You have to feel, you have to rest, you have to receive. And I'm the girl that, like, if we go to the beach, I can lay down and I will not move if the sun is on me. But some people can't do that and they pace the whole time, or, you know, they distract themselves, and then you are forced to lay down on a table and you're not moving. I mean, you can. I'm sure. I wonder if you have any stories of people like jumping off the table being like, Nalu, help me.
I have some. It's horrible.
Oh, I can't wait. We'll go into those next. But even just as a yoga teacher, how many people can't sit with their bodies in yin, how hard that is. So it forces you to almost override with your frontal lobe all of the patterns that we have of trauma, of our habits, of the way that we distract ourselves from feeling. You have to override that, because if not, you will suffer more. And that's a fun just practice in general, honestly.
I mean, learning to sit still, like they're trying to teach children at a young age. It's impossible for them. It's a learned behavior. It's something that you have to grow into. And then, like, you know, some people get too good at it. Like, I think you are very fit, very like healthy. I am too. And I can drop in immediately. As soon as I'm on the table, it's like, you can like move my arm, move whatever. And I'm just like, I'm a rag doll. But some people, I'll move their arm and they'll stay. And then, it's like rigor mortis. So
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead and relax. They're like, I'm relaxed.
Are you?
But some people don't necessarily know how to turn off their nervous system, or how to turn off their mind, or how to turn off parts of their body. We have holding patterns in our body. One shoulder might be higher than the other, and we don't recognize it unless we look at ourselves in a mirror and be like, wow, that's weird. But even people looking at themselves in the mirror don't notice. You know, we're not looking at that. We're not looking at ourselves in like an anatomical position. We're looking at ourselves and like, okay, is this okay? Am I presentable? Okay, bye.
Yeah.
And like just sitting with anything long enough to really like shut down is so hard for humanity. And it is literally where the magic is. It is like, I like to call it like turning off the computer for a little while. And then when you plug it back in or like turn it back on, everything tends to like work more properly and seems to like be more smooth and flow. Like you can do that with acupuncture, but also with meditation, also with yin, also with lying in shavasana, with or laying in the sun at the beach, connecting to nature. You can really tap into that space at any moment and just like, okay, I'm going to sit and I'm going to turn off. And then you come back to you and whatever is like that you're doing, and you should be like, okay, I'm more clear, and you can go forward. Like I give myself time out all the time.
Yeah. Time
all
out.
the time.
Yeah.
I have children.
I love it.
And I have never put them in timeout. So I don't know why I said that.
Yeah, they've never been in timeout.
I mean, they're good kids.
They are good kids. I mean, I don't know them, but I know they're good kids because you're their mom. You're welcome. And in you saying that, it just reminds me of how in yoga, how uncomfortable it can be to drop so deeply into your body that you find parts of yourself that you've hidden, whether it was a physical feeling or an emotional tendency or a memory. And how much people hate that. And I watch them resist. And it's really common in something like yin, but it can happen in hatha, it can happen in vinyasa, it can happen in, I'm sure, any movement practice. But in acupuncture, it's just a different window into that ability to bring them to the surface because we have to feel.
It's moving.
Yeah.
So I'm moving the blood, you know, when you exercise, it's moving the blood. When you're slowly, like when you're sitting into something and someone's like dropping knowledge, which I'm sure you do. I'm sure you're just like got the beautiful music and you're just saying things all whisper, but it's all loud. And they're like sweating and about to have an emotion. That's the nervous system's reaction of just like protect. Oh no, it's about to be uncomfortable. But really, if we can look at our emotions, that like, that's just my reptilian brain trying to protect me and give it some love, tell it thank you, and make it like go to the backseat because you are okay and you're gonna be okay and you are divinely protected and you're sitting in Ashley's class and she's teaching you things and you're gonna cry and maybe you don't want to. So what? Let yourself cry or let yourself feel. That's like, why is it so hard? Like it is like, it's painful or it can be like you're afraid if it starts it's never gonna stop or like, you know, I don't know. I'm the same way. I coach people through shit all the time. I literally am like, feel everything all the time. You're in a safe space. And people cry all day, every day on my table and I love it. And sometimes I cry with them. Like, this is so powerful. And then when it's me though, no, fuck that. Like, I'm gonna go surfing.
I'm good. I'm perfect. But you also have to feel safe enough with a practitioner to get to that space. And I will commend you on that you just create that safety and that love. And you really do treat, I mean, I only know from my experience as your patient, but you do treat me like I am your family, like I am your sister. Like I've known you for my entire life, but I have worked with acupuncturists before that did not make me feel that way. And I had actually an interaction with an acupuncturist who was releasing a ligament in my pelvis and used the word frisky. And my whole body shut down because I also have trauma with men and I've never gone back there. It was a male. And, you know, that could be across any profession. It could be your massage therapist. It could be anyone, but you will not be able to feel if your nervous system is then putting up all its walls to protect you. No. So that's just something that I wanted to touch on, that if the listeners are working with someone that they don't feel safe, you're not going to be able to get to that depth. And any doctor, any practitioner is someone that can be hired or fired, and you should interview them and you can try them out. And if they don't work for you, great. They work for someone else. You're not going to hurt their feelings. Just move on.
Right.
Yeah.
It's such an inappropriate space to be like someone's in your pelvis and using a word that is not intended to make you comfortable.
Frisky.
What did he think was going to come out of that?
I don't know. And he smirked too. And I wanted to kick him in the head, but I didn't.
Yeah. So unprofessional.
And it
crosses all of the boundaries of like, we take a Hippocratic oath.
Yeah,
You've done the same, you know, like we are creating a safe space for everybody who is on our table. We are making sure that like, it's not the practitioner's treatment. It's your treatment.
I've also gone to practitioners that will just like unload their shit on me while I'm on their table just because I love to talk. That's also something. Fire your practitioner if that's the case.
I thought you were talking about the fire element. I was like, yeah, fire elements do that.
Yeah, I mean, ooh, why don't you diagnose me on this? What do you think I am?
I think you're a mix of a fire and wood.
Tell me why.
Wood would be like that anger, like which you may or may not still have, but like,
oh, she's in there.
Wood is like, you know, that rigid and like that very structured and like making sure that like things are, when things are not moving properly, you can get like, you get that like build up to where you burst type of thing. That can be a wood pathology stuff. It's also really good for helping like build stuff and building your space that you've created here. This room is fucking gorgeous. It's so cute. I love sitting here.
I love sitting in here too.
I didn't even know what color these chairs were. And I'm so happy I matched them in a weird way.
Alignment.
But, and then fire being that like joy and that light and that brightness and that excitement and like able to articulate things in a very fast and exciting way and like drawing the attention of like the viewers that want to hear, like, this is knowledge that you have in your brain that you worked very, very hard, like blood, sweat, and tears to get all these encyclopedias in your brain so that you could share it with the masses. Like, that's a very like wood and fire thing to do, you know, and you use it for good. And some people don't use it for good, but like, this is what I feel from you.
Oh, thank you. Beautiful. I appreciate that. And that same light that you just expressed, you very clearly emanate that. You cannot look at your smile and smile when you are in a room. It's impossible.
Thanks.
Yeah, anytime. So what are some of your favorite things to work on? If you could just pick.
Right. The things that I healed from the best, like when I first got acupuncture for anxiety and emotional stuff. So I love mental health. I love, like, my undergrad was all in mental health stuff. And so for me, like, I love, like, that's the coolest jigsaw puzzle for me, because two people can be in the same room and watch the same traumatic thing happen in front of them or something to them, and they would both have very different reactions. One would freeze and not do anything. The other one would flip out and leave, and, you know, like fight back or whatever. Like, there's everybody has different reactions in their nervous systems and how we were like born into who we are, but also how we were raised, how we were like trained. Our nervous system gets trained on like how to react to stressors at a very, very young age. And so inner child work is like a lot of work that people are doing now, but which I'm not like super come to me for inner child work, but definitely like mental health, mental, emotional health. And so that is one, but then the other one, physical pain, because I've been in excruciating physical pain before, and I get it. And I know it so well. And I got to train underneath the man who wrote the orthopedic acupuncture book, Matt Callison. He is freaking phenomenal. He has these, you know, this thick of books. They're huge and they're just insane. And so I got to follow him for a year, intern at UCSD in La Jolla, and work on all the athletes there. And they would come in with like torn knees and crazy shoulders, and like they're 20 or they're 19 and they're just messed up. And so I got to like stick needles in weird ways and watch the muscles jump and move around and like do muksa, and like the cupping was like, I fell in love with orthopedic during that time, and healing like pain when someone walks out like pain free, or when they walk out 50% better, at least I helped. That feels really good. So my stuff that I like do, because these two are my favorite and I specialize in them, I mix them together because there's no amount of physical pain that is not affecting your mental health. Yeah. Like, have you ever broken anything or like been hurt in any way that you're just like, well, now I can't do this or da da da. And then like the longer you're sedentary, the more your mental health is affected. Yeah. And so working on the two. Finding parts of the body that like, oh, my neck hurts. Like, what are you holding in your neck? And then where I feel the neck, like the neck itself, like you have neck stuff,
No,
right?
I'm laughing because the first time you touched my neck, you're like, how are you with control? And I was like, fucking terrible, babe. Like, so bad. Yeah.
I know. And then I explained to you about the neck, right?
Yes.
So the neck
That's why I laughed.
represents rigidity. And rigid is more of like a liver wood pathology will show up with rigidity. And so the neck being tight or sore or anything, like if you're rigid, you're basically like control issue or control imbalance. And so if something's out of control in your life, the pendulum swings and then you grip onto whatever you can control. And so when you grip onto the things you can control, that's that like not understanding that you're being too rigid. And so what is out of my control? How can I let this go? What am I gripping on too tight? How can I flow a little bit easier? And like that shows up in the neck. Both sides of the body, there's like the right side of the body is masculine, left is feminine. And so if I see rigidity on your right side, I'm wondering like, oh, control issues with men. Like, and I just, wonder, and I feel, and I sense it in your body. And then usually like, you'll be, yes, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. It's interesting just to watch the layers. I kind of think of it as energy condensing. It's, what's in the collective, then what's in your emotional and all of it. And it can settle in the physical. So it's just what layer you're working on. And just to even touch on the pain, conventional medicine has failed to help anyone with pain. Yeah. You're just given a highly addictive substance that tricks your brain into making a chemical to numb it, but it's not treating the root. And oftentimes things that are painful, we hide. We push them deeper. We don't want to see them. They're usually associated with trauma, whether that's physical, emotional, mental, whatever. And acupuncture is forcing you to see it. But also what I love about it is that joints don't really have that much blood flow. They're encapsulated, they're hidden, but if you stick a needle in there, your nervous system is going to see it. And your nervous system is going to send an army to it in a way that it wouldn't have otherwise, which is why, you know, in kind of my arm of medicine, people do a lot of PRP and prolotherapy. It's similar, but you can get very similar shifts with acupuncture. And I have a lot of humans in my community that they say that acupuncture saved their life as far as pain goes. And that's just something that I'm just so grateful for, because so many humans in my life, you know, couldn't show up because of the pain. And if it wasn't for acupuncture, I don't know where they'd be.
That's awesome. I know Western medicine, I mean, they do good with emergency and they do good with like a ton of things, but like with pain, here's pills or a referral to a physical therapist, which physical therapy, wonderful too, but that's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And so like, usually it's pills and physical therapy, and they just refer them out and push them away and get the next person in. And like, it's hard because people tend to come to acupuncture as last resort. And so like people don't choose, I'm going to stick needles in my body. And like, well, you know, they don't decide to go there first. It's usually years after, like, okay, last resort before surgery. And then it's like, if we had gotten to you a little sooner. And sometimes you can help and like make it so that they don't have to get surgery. And sometimes it's like the damage has been done and like, you know, we'll do as much as we can and then, you know, kind of just like see what happens. And sometimes they'll still have to, but yeah, pain. I love how it shows up in our bodies, and really like sitting with the pain and accepting it can be such an emotional thing.
Yeah.
And you feel it in your breath. Like, you ever hit your shin?
Oh, yeah.
And you're like,
Or like stub your toe.
Stop breathing.
Yeah.
We stop breathing when we're in physical pain. But what about when we are grieving? Or what about when we're anxious? Like, you know, you've got that like high, shallow breath. And so our breath holds physical and emotional pain. I love breath work.
Yes.
I know.
Absolutely.
I don't do it, but I like,
I don't do it, but I love it.
I don't facilitate it, but I have people in my space that facilitate breath work because I feel like it's such an important part of like letting emotions come out, breathing through, like allowing things to move.
And that's one of the things I love about your space as well. You have the different healers, but you also have a community space where other healers can come in and give their offerings, because one person's medicine isn't going to be everyone's medicine, but people will see what they're drawn to and they will show up and then meet other people. And, you know, that's how the world changes.
You know, I love it. I want everybody, like, and we've got all these little small businesses that come and do events and like they're raising up their following, and they're also like, they just want to give and they want a crowd to give too. And so like some classes will be fully booked and some classes will have nobody, but like, I want that space for them. I want it for me to like be able to give to the masses, but I want it for everybody. Just like, let's grow, everybody. Like, this is what I love about San Diego. It's such a healing hub. There's so many people who like on so many different walks of life who do different things.
It is such a healing hub. And I remember when I was in medical school, I don't know why, but people would try to scare you, being like, good luck getting a job. It's competitive out there. Are you going to be able to find patients? There's another naturopath down the street. There's a chiropractor over there. There's going to be competition. Never has there ever been an issue, because there is no shortage of humans that need help. And just like I said earlier, you get to interview different practitioners and see who you resonate with. I'm not going to be someone's medicine, but you will. And that's beautiful. And you should be, and I should not be. And it is such a supportive network. We are so lucky to be here. And it's ironic that you used to work in this very building.
I love this building. Shout out to the Inner Balance Center. They used to have all these little massage spaces here. And I was a massage therapist here during my last year of acupuncture school. And so it got me through my last year of acupuncture school. It paid for my board exams and like got me through the toughest part of schooling and one of the toughest parts of my life. But this space holds my heart, and it was kind of like run down, and you have like flipped it upside down and put some like monkeys on the wall. And like, you just like, I walked in here today for the first time in years, and the poor place, like they went under during COVID and it was really, really sad, but they opened up a different location and they're thriving and doing good now. And so this is just, it needed newer energy in here, and you are like blessing the space.
Thank you.
You're like 2 blocks from the beach. There's a farmer's market right now, which everybody's fighting over parking for. And like,
we won.
I know.
Yeah. It's a blessing. And it's, people like you, because that's one of the reasons why I went to see you, because I was so unbelievably overwhelmed with what was going on, because the universe just gave me the space. I had no intention of coming here. Actually, I haven't formally talked about this on the podcast yet, but I left my last place of work because I was told that the way that I show up in my body as a woman is offensive. And if anyone knows where I used to work, I'm not going to call them out, but a lot of you know where I used to work. And I was heartbroken. And usually in those moments, the universe will give you little breadcrumbs of golden nuggets to see where you're supposed to go. And I just had these humans reflect back at me who I was as a healer, who I am as a human, how I inspire them, and that I need my own space. And I was originally looking for a podcast room. And then I was so overwhelmed, and this place just found me. And I went to see you. I'm lying on your table talking about how overwhelmed I am, all the things I need to do, all the business stuff, picking your brain, asking questions. And I tell you the location. You're like, no fucking way. I used to work there. And it's just so full circle. And now here you are sitting in this building.
I love it.
Yeah.
And months before, just a few months before you showed up on my table, I had gone through the same exact thing because I was renting 2 rooms in PB, like just a few blocks from here. And it was me and my acupuncturist and one massage therapist, and just the 3 of us, like riding on this cute little, we go see the sunsets after work and we're chilling. But I have been wanting to expand for a while. My dream was, as soon as my daughter starts kindergarten, that's when I will have the time and energy, and I want 5 treatment rooms and an event space. And it came to me. Here's 5 treatment rooms, and the event space was under demolition. And I was like, oh shit, I don't know if I can do this. And I did, and it took everything out of me, and it nonstop hours before my alarm until middle of the night. Sometimes I'd be stressed and angry, and I'd be like, whatever. And I would just go there and put a floor in the bathroom.
Yeah, I'm just gonna fucking put a floor in there.
And it's beautiful, and I still love it to this day. But you showed up 3 months after that, I had just gone through that, and still, then you have to learn how to be a businesswoman. I'm still figuring that one out, but
you're doing a great job.
We're doing a good job.
We are.
We're doing a good job.
I'm so proud of us.
We're doing so good.
We're doing so good. Just throwing.
We're dripping
soaked in here. I'm probably glistening, but it's fine. So. It's that Leo glow, It's
good.
Meow.
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 Cute.
That's cute.
Yeah. I love this full circle. I love how you showed up on my table. I love how you got anxious.
Me too.
I love how, even the car accident recently, I don't love that, but I love how it was drew me to you even more, come here.
Yeah, I know. I need to get on your table this week. Or whenever your next opening is, because you're a queen and everyone sees you, as they should. But I will get on your table. And yeah, I guess let's dive into that just briefly, because I've never almost died before.
Okay.
I never have, except maybe once. My now stepbrother, he wasn't my stepbrother at the time. He didn't know that he was almost drowning me in a pool, but he almost did when I was younger. That was the only time that I saw my whole life flash by, but this was very different.
Okay.
And now I have full-blown PTSD. I've had PTSD from other things before, but now this is a whole new thing. And I got in a car accident. I was by myself. My car was totaled. I had 2 dogs in my car. I was in the middle of Arkansas, fully by myself, completely dissociated. Called Eric, my producer / best friend, because I had no idea what to do with myself. And I'm still not sure if I'm back in my body, honestly. I'm really trying. But now, because I was in Arkansas, I had to drive. So I had to immediately do the thing that
almost killed you.
Almost killed me. And I would be driving, and just that spiky feeling that you described earlier, I would feel it come over my body. A car would merge and they'd be a little too close to me, and I would almost fucking faint.
I saw your car. You drove with it like that.
Oh, honey bunnies. No, the car is now in Arkansas. Multiple miracles took place because it was a weekend of a holiday that apparently is a very big deal in Arkansas. Everything was closed.
Shit.
Everything was closed except there was one rental car, and I got the one rental car.
Okay, good.
And I drove. So no, it was a fully functioning vehicle. But I've never had that feeling before. I've never felt that disconnected to myself. Earlier, when you said that your soul shattered, I felt that, and I felt very lost. I didn't even know if I wanted to be a doctor anymore. I'm like, what matters? Nothing matters.
Yeah.
Nothing matters.
Wow.
So I look forward to getting on your table to integrate in some of this now that I'm ready to feel, because I straight up didn't feel for roughly 6 weeks. But what was your healing journey like, and how did acupuncture help you in that process?
That's a good question, but I want to go back to this.
Sure.
Let's talk about what happens when you're in a traumatic experience like that. So you're like, you know, glass is shattering around you, like stuff is happening super fast, but it feels slow motion.
So
you get
slow.
this, like the after effects, because that's the nervous system, like loving so much on you, keep you alive. And it does. It's like fucking phenomenal. Like you can, I can lift a car if my kid's under it, I guess. Somebody told me that. Like,
yeah, you could.
I don't know. But you, I'm just imagining this.
I love you.
But I mean, having that close of an interaction, that brush with death, and then your body just like, you have to go somewhere else. It's not safe to be there. Get out of here. And so the spirit, is what we'll call it in Chinese medicine, or the soul, or the intellect, everything just kind of like go somewhere, so that it may like combust. The body may combust right now. We may not make it through. And so you kind of go with this out of body experience, whether it really is out of body or not, but the nervous system, like doing everything it can to protect you. You are just reptilian brain. And so after that, the soul, like, is it safe to come back? I don't know. And then you start driving. Nope, don't feel safe. Don't go back. And so you'll have these like in and out of body experiences, or maybe feel dissociated, or feel however you were raised and your nervous system was raised and like trained to work, is how you're going to go through post-traumatic stress. Everybody, it's different. And like, I can share with you my story, but it's going to be different than yours.
Yeah.
Because the way your body holds it, or where you are, you may feel like on top of this room, like sometimes, or may not even be in here. It's beautiful watching like someone get grounded and reset during a session, and then afterwards be like, I feel like I'm back, and it may not last. You may start to like, but now I have to get in my car and drive after feeling fully relaxed, like do everything you can to try to like get grounded. And I've seen where you've been going afterwards. I'm like, how is she totally fine? Just like,
I'm just really good at dissociating.
Yes. Yeah. And that's another trauma response, is like,
Correct.
You're so good at this.
I'm just so good at it.
That's another trauma response though. Like getting like busy and just like filling it with other things that are going to make you feel good and happy. And you're at a festival and you're teaching and you're like, your family's around and you feel wonderful in those moments. But when you're by yourself, or when you're driving or whatever, like it's still very much alive inside of you.
Yeah. And I mean, I did do all the things, but I will say that it happened on May 27th. I cried and shook and almost fainted my entire drive to New York. And then I got there and I didn't do anything. I did nothing. And it's ironic because anyone on the East Coast knows that the fires from Canada decimated the East Coast. I've never seen anything like that before. So we couldn't even go outside. And something that helps me ground is being in nature. That's half the reason that I go home to New York, is just to be surrounded by the woods and the animals and the fresh water and the wildflowers, and none of that was there. So I just laid down for a couple weeks, honestly. And I cried nonstop for a few days, which was really good. I obviously had to get it out of me. But I will say that all those things that I did after the accident were already planned. I had no choice. I was already locked in to teach at this festival. I was already going to a medical conference. It was all predetermined and planned. And thank fucking God that it was, because teaching at that festival reminded me of who I am and why I do the work that I do, and how much I love speaking and how much I love sharing. So it was part of anchoring me into my body. I actually didn't feel well until I taught. Until I was on that stage, says the Leo. And I'm like, okay. And then going to the medical conference and being surrounded by doctors was also incredible, just to remind me. But there are different arms to the nervous system. And it's fun that you brought that up, because I think a lot of people think that when they're in trauma that they'll either fight or flight or, do something else. But there's a third trauma response, which is freeze. And I had no idea that I was a freezer, because I'm a fiery wild animal. And I thought that I would elbow someone in the face. I thought that I would, like run away, punch them, go into action. That's not what my nervous system does.
Not in that moment.
No.
I bet if you were being attacked, you'd be like a monkey or no. You'd be
I don't
fine.
know. I don't know if I would, honestly, because I've had situations like that happen and I freeze. So I don't know. Not that I've been attacked. I'm not calling that in, but I had a stalker situation where someone tried to break into my house and I didn't jump up. I didn't get a weapon. I didn't get my phone. I didn't call anyone. I sat there, felt the blood leave my body, and I was fully frozen. And I also, in that moment when that happened to me, I remember being mad at myself the next day, being like, Ashley, you couldn't fucking call someone. You couldn't call the police. You couldn't scream. You couldn't do anything, but I couldn't. And now just having compassion for myself and understanding that's how my nervous system is wired. And that's how I survived a lot of really hard situations. And that's okay because I'm here and I am safe. But I think that there is a lot of shame in the way that we respond to trauma, but really it's something that is predetermined and it's a wiring. And there is no shame in any of that.
None.
It's just how your body helps you.
Right. Give it love.
Yeah.
Thank it. Wow, you kept me alive in these moments. They're like in nature, you'll see certain things like fully freeze and the attacker, the predator will like get bored and leave. And that saved their life, right? Like that's meant to be. We are animals. We are meant to react to certain situations in different ways. Maybe you're a possum. I don't know.
It's funny that you say that because I grew up watching possums do that. Yeah.
I've never seen one. I always
Really?
wanted to. Yeah. They're
really
are
cute.
Possums? They're here, right? There's some here.
There are possums here, but they're kind of like gigantic rats.
They
They're
look
a little
like huge
scary.
rats.
But I don't know. In the mountains of New York, they're really cute. They're cute.
They don't look like rats?
They do, but they're like fuzzier.
Okay.
They just are more like, they're like wood creatures of, yeah, I don't know. They're like Appalachian babies.
Cute.
Yeah, that's what I'll call them. Appalachian babies.
But there's also fawning, right? Charming the predator. Getting it to like love you so that it can leave you alone. And then you're just like, but you still have this like tense reaction.
But that is an action, right? Like you're able to act in that moment. That's a fun.
Yeah. Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, the 4 Fs.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
I know. I love the nervous system.
I do too. And I love how we both work on the nervous system in different ways.
No, I do too. I'm going to come here and just like sit on your table. Do you have a table?
I do. I have a table in there. I do craniosacral.
Ooh. When I was in massage school, I had my very first emotional release during craniosacral.
Yes.
And we're students and we don't know what we're doing. We're just doing what we're told.
Totally.
And like trying to do it the right way. And we're not sure what's going to happen. And I had a full-blown panic attack. I went to the bathroom. I was like, I'll be right back. Go to the bathroom. Like sat on the floor. I was like, teacher was like, you good? And I was like, I'm good.
So good. So good.
But that was my first experience with an emotional release on a table with body work. And after that, my mind was like, what? Synapses everywhere. Just like, figure it out. Learn how to do this. How does it clear? What do we do? You know, like, that was my very first craniosacral. Has my heart.
I love that it has your heart. It has my heart. It's been a huge part of my healing. And it's subtle, right? And similar to acupuncture, I think it's subtle, but it's also like you're sticking a needle in your body. But it's not going that deep, right? Like it's just stimulating movement. And I think that craniosacral works in a similar way in that it's tapping into the fascia and also the nerves that are engrossed and wrapped in and within that tissue. So then you just release it and see what pops up. And panic attacks can happen.
Cool.
I've had that happen. I've had basically little exorcisms happen. I'll do a whole episode on craniosacral and we'll talk about it. But I love that we receive each other's medicine.
I know, me too.
It's special.
I want to support everybody around me and I want them to support me and I want us to all like support each other and build each other up and like we're doing the work. We're like helping people. This is not just like, hi, give me your money, I have a business. This is like, I would do this whether I was making money or not. You know, you would too. You love craniosacral. Oh my God, I'm going to come and get craniosacral from you.
I can't wait. And I just want to reflect back at you, sis. Like you are doing that. What you have created with your healing center is profound. But I've heard, I couldn't even believe that it was so new when I first met you, just because of the wave that you've created, the amount of people that told me about it. So you are showing up for the community in a way that it's really needed and craved for such a long time. And it wouldn't have happened unless you followed that pull and followed that dream in your heart and had those late nights and early mornings. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I mean, I started my business in 2019. I just expanded in December 22. And so it's been going for a few years, but then like the big picture of like what my whole adult life dream was just came into fruition like now. Still.
Yeah.
It's not there yet.
It's happening. It's in the process.
Yeah.
And just, you know, a little whisper for the listeners, you have to follow those polls. The things that you would do that if you weren't paid for, that's what you're supposed to do. And it's why you are here. And if you ignore that, you're just going to, you know, hold that beautiful energy inside of an organ that's going to have to be released in acupuncture. So
that was good. That was cute.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Drop it like it's that.
Yeah, baby. So sis, this has been such a beautiful conversation. I love you more than I've ever loved you. And I would love to just finish off this beautiful conversation with you sharing anything that you want from your heart, whether that is a love bomb, a truth bomb, a knowledge bomb, anything that you want to drop. The stage is yours.
Thank you. I love you. I think you're so amazing. I love that you're giving me this opportunity because like this has been a pretty tough year for me. I've been like pretty low, pretty high. And then just like doing everything that I'm doing to build the practice that I've always dreamt of came with like the pros and the cons. And when you're dreamy eyed, like, oh, someday I'm going to have an event space and I'm going to have 5 treatment rooms. And you think all these wonderful things, like this has been my dream. But when you're in it and it's all like micro, like right in front of you, like one foot in front of the other, like put all of my money into it, couldn't get a business loan, did everything I could. Like I'm like every month wondering, am I going to pay my rent? Rent is crazy insane here. And like, how do I book my people that work for me that all like believe in what I'm doing and they're also excited to be on the team and they're all so incredibly talented. And so for me, like right now, I just love that every time I call in something, I'll say it out loud, like, man, I need to learn how to do more marketing. And then you're like, hey, come on my podcast. Like this is a way of marketing. And it's really just sitting with a badass chick, talking about what we'd love to talk about, learning some things from each other, sharing it with people. And that's marketing. That's really all it is. There's no class that I have to take. There's no billions of dollars I have to spend on something to get somebody to do things. Maybe I do have to spend more money on it, but
you're good.
Now, but every time I call in, like, I need to learn marketing, then I get opportunities like this or like other things in ways that show up for me are like, how do I grow like better, bigger? How do I do this? How do I give my massage therapist the opportunity to like show their amazing gifts to the world? My esthetician is insane. She like massages your face and inside your mouth and she gets like, she just has so much knowledge that I've never even knew that like a facial was so like detailed. And she like the stuff that she knows, it's like a full microsystem on the face, like that you can like affect the entire body. I just think that everybody who works with me is so incredibly talented. And it's really just getting the word out. I have grown naturally and organically in my business. And it was hard. It was only hard because it was like a lot of work. But I never grew this big, this fast. And the only thing that does scare me, I know where it's going. I know it's going to be amazing. But the only thing that scares me is money sometimes. And it sucks that I have to worry about that. If I didn't have to worry about money, I would just continue putting all my money into it and it would just grow magically and I would just know that it would be fine. So just going to love bomb my team and everybody who works for me and with me is literally so talented and amazing. And I'm so particular. A lot of people have sent me resumes throughout the past few months and I'm just like, I'm very, very picky who is in there and in my space. And it just feels good. And like everybody who comes in and does like throws an event and tries to like help their own business in my space. Like, oh, my heart is so happy that they're there. And just the entire community that came together when I asked for help in the beginning was like, I need to paint, I need to put in floors, I need to put in lights, I need to do so much right now. And like people every single day coming in and like donating their time. Like I have an octopus mural in my bathroom donated by like a very talented artist. And like people just wanted to give because I give and I am crazy, insanely grateful. Like it makes me cry sometimes because I don't know if I show the gratitude that everybody around me deserves because I would just have to be like giving people thank yous all day, every day. And it feels It feels good. I feel like I'm in such a beautiful space. I feel hopeful, excited. Like 3 months ago, I was less hopeful, or I was burnt. I was like, I had to cut back on work a little bit and connect to nature more and connect with my kids more and myself more. And so like coming into like the fire sign seasons and like there's more sun and it's summer. I think it was like on socials where I was like, it's summer. And it felt so good. It just feels like, I mean, and if you don't even live in San Diego, like for people to just seek out a deeper form of healing, like try acupuncture. It may just change your life. It may not do much for you. I know people who tell me like, oh, I've tried it, didn't do much. I'm like, get on my table, let me try. It's different. Try somebody else, you know? So thank you for doing what you do so that you can continue to like keep bringing knowledge to all your listeners and then like expand the community and raise each other up. It's what we're all doing. It's what we're here for. So thank you.
You are so welcome. And it is an honor to interview you and to have you share your heart. And even though I don't work with you in your practice, I can speak for everyone that does work with you that they do feel how grateful you are. Because even in walking in your space, the way that you talk to everyone in there, they are your family. They feel that. And that is why your space is also so special. So you're already doing it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So how can my humans find you?
Nalu Healing Arts on Instagram. My website is naluhealingarts.com. It's all very easy, Nalu. Nalu means wave in Hawaiian. I grew up in Hawaii, and the wave being the healing. It's just fun little fact of like healing of the flow, things that move that way. So Nalu Healing Arts.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in San Diego, just do yourself a favor and go. Receive anything from that space. Just being in the space is healing. The octopus mural is amazing. She also has infrared sauna. She's got it all in there. Just go to an event, go stare at how gorgeous she is. It's fine. But truly, thank you so much for just what you do to me, how you support me, but also for being here and sharing your heart with my listeners. I am so grateful for you and I love you.
I love you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for tuning in, cutie pies.